Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Well, good morning, everyone. Good to see you all here this morning, and welcome to any visitors joining us today. Today's going to be a little bit unique. I don't do this very often at all, but if you will take up your handout that you received when you walked into church today, into the church, the gathering space, it's good for us to do a little review for our annual financial report. And this covers, many of you may not realize that for our parish and all of the parishes in our diocese, our fiscal year or our financial year begins on July 1 and ends on June 30th. And so it's not the calendar year, it's our fiscal year that we're looking at. And so July 1 of 2022 to June 30th of 23. So I just want to walk through this with you just to hopefully help everyone understand a little bit more about where we are at here at St. Mary's with our finances. So first of all, looking at the left column, you see the income side of things. And it's broken down to church income and school income. First is the regular collections, and that's really what it is. It's the weekly collections, along with the loose change and currency that we receive throughout the course of the fiscal year, along with special collections and memorials, which are gifts given in honor of a deceased parishioner. You have directed donations. These are designated gifts for particular purposes in the church. And then also in this is extraordinary collections, which would be like the Christmas call to sharing and the Easter collection, which are both remitted to the diocese. Those are special collections for the diocese. The other income for the church is interest income on a savings accounts, miscellaneous income, our endowment gain or loss, as well as property insurance claim receipts. And so that really makes up the church's income for this last fiscal year that ended June 30th. When you look at education income, what does that all entail? Well, first, gifts and donations, just regular gifts and donations made to the school. Directed donations and grants. Directed donations are designated gifts. Sometimes a person will give to a particular cause in the school itself. And then we do receive, although it's not large at all, we do receive some grant money for different purposes in the school. You look at school fees and tuition. So what does that all include? That includes registration fees. That includes the fees that are paid by feeder parishes. We have at least two. So we have St. Vincent de Paul in Andover and St. Michael's in Mulvane, who send students here. They don't have a Catholic school, and so they send to the nearest Catholic school. And those feeder parishes sponsor those students and give us you could say, a fee for that particular student that they sponsor. We also have in this category of fees and tuition, parent-paid tuition. In our school here at St. Mary's, we also have families who are not Catholic, but want to have their children come here, and so they pay tuition for their students to attend here at St. Mary's. This category also includes preschool or pre-K fees, latchkey fees, and then extracurricular activity fees. You see net fundraising, which is done throughout the course of the year, and then other income. Other income for the school would be such as the use of parish or school property, such as renting a room or the gym, and so on and so forth. And then the little bit of other income, which is just not really a large amount and doesn't have another category for it. So that shows you the total income, you could say, for the last fiscal year for our church, our parish, church and school. Looking to the expense side of things, the right-hand column, the first thing you see is actually something that's very, very specific to our diocese. And it's the tithes to the diocese. We call that United Catholic Stewardship. Every parish in our diocese, because we are a stewardship parish and we are a stewardship diocese. In fact, we're the only diocese in the country that is totally stewardship throughout all the parishes. There isn't another diocese like us. We are that unique, you could say. So we give, and this is the way our diocese, stewardship diocese works, we give 10% of our collections to the diocese, who then uses those to support our various activities in the diocese and also gives to the larger church, the universal church. Now, there's an asterisk there with tied to the diocese. If you look at the bottom of the handout, there's actually a website that you can go to. It's on the diocese. You can go and see what the diocese does with the 10% tithe that comes in from all of the parishes of the diocese. It's right on their website. You can look at the breakdown and how all of that is allocated. On the church side of things, you see salaries and benefits. That includes myself, as well as parish employee wages, insurance, payroll, taxes, other benefits, and workers' comp. You see facility operating expenses. That's the parish utilities. Now again, I could give you a much more detailed out financials, but it'd be really swimming through a lot of numbers. And so myself and the Finance Council wanted to keep this very general. If you want a more detailed, I can show you that at another time. The parish facility operating expenses, though, it's the utilities, repairs and maintenance, property insurance, and taxes. I bring up property insurance in particular because we belong, the Catholic Diocese of Wichita, our insurance is coming through Catholic Mutual. Catholic Mutual is an insurance company that insures dioceses, Catholic dioceses. And this year, we received a rather large, in fact, 45% increase in our premium. What does that look like in numbers? That's $26,000 more for our property insurance because of the natural disasters of the hurricanes that have been taking place and the dioceses that are insured under Catholic Mutual. It's not something that we can control. We just hope it doesn't become a trend because that is something we didn't plan on. So you know this as well. You're seeing hikes in premiums and in various expenses in your own households. But I just wanted to point that out for us as a parish. You see capital improvements, the $87,921. What does that mean? Well, that's projects that are of a more permanent nature. They're of a higher value or, longer lasting, we could say. This past year, we paved this East Drive and parking lot. That was to the tune of about $50,000 to get that paved as well as striped. All of that whole project was about $50,000. We also had to re-roof the rectory because it was beyond due for a new roof. Then other expenses for the church would be parish supplies, printing, professional fees, and subscriptions. And so we get the total church expenses. When we look to the education, the school side of expenses, what do we see first? The salaries and benefits. It is our largest expense, trying and seeking to give a good, just wage for our teachers and our staff in our school. That's a hard thing to do when we're trying to be comparable or at least try to keep up as best as we can with the public school wages. It's not feasible to be completely equivalent, but we also have some intangible benefits of just amazing faith environments in our classrooms. But that salaries and benefits includes wages, insurance, payroll, taxes, benefits, and workers' comp. You look at high school direct support and subsidy. What does that mean? Well, again, we are in a stewardship diocese, and so any student of ours in our parish going to our Catholic high schools in Wichita, whether it be Bishop Carroll or Cape and Mount Carmel, are being sponsored by the parish. And so oftentimes people think it's just a one flat fee per student. It's actually not. There are two numbers that are coming into play when we as a parish sponsor our students in our Catholic high schools. The one is direct support. That is the fixed number per student, and that is $4,000 per student. The second number, though, is direct subsidy, or the parish subsidy, excuse me. That is a percentage of our parish income, of our collections. And so when we are sponsoring students at Bishop Carroll or Cape and Mount Carmel, we're actually paying both of these, a direct support, a direct amount for each student, and then a percentage of our parish collection income to the Catholic high school education. Now keep in mind, again, it's a tremendous gift to be able to have stewardship from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. We're the only diocese in the country that has that gift, but it does cost, and that's why we all have a part to play. When you look below high school direct support and subsidy, you see facility operating expenses. It's just what it is. School utilities, repairs and maintenance, property insurance and taxes, classroom and school office supplies, school operation expenses. Capital improvements. Again, these are of a more permanent, long-lasting investment in nature, in our school buildings and equipment. Many of you don't realize, but we are now at about the 10-year mark with the school. It's still a very new school. It's a brand new school. But when it comes to functioning and operating, we now have hit one of those milestones, the 10-year mark. And now many of our HVAC units, the heat exchangers, are now at their life's end. And so we've been replacing heat exchangers. They're $3,000 a piece. We have over 20 units just on the school itself. So that gives us, again, our total education expenses. When we look at our total income and our total expenses, what do we notice in that navy blue strip? In our last fiscal year, financial year, we were $202,000 short. We were $202,000 as a loss. Now that's important because we can do this as a parish. I know it. I know we can do this, but it's everyone coming together and playing a part. We all have a part to play. In a stewardship parish, in a stewardship diocese, that means we all have a part to play. No one is excluded. Now you look at that circle diagram right below, and you notice it's very clear. 83% of our budget goes to Catholic education from kindergarten to 12th grade. That's a lot of our budget. That's true. Now, to put that in perspective, here in our diocese, I asked our CFO of the diocese, I was like, where do we sit compared to other parishes in the Wichita Metro who have a Catholic school and also send students to our Catholic high schools? And here's the statistics that he gave me. We're at 83.1%. The median of schools, parishes with schools and who send to Catholic high schools is 83.1%. We're right there. Now, one other number to keep in mind is that many of our sister parishes in the diocese are of lower income, and they're eligible for grants that allow them to drop or to reduce their total expenses. We are not eligible for many of those grants. And so when we look at the net cost, total cost, we're still at 83.1%, but the median then drops to 78.4% when they add in or take into account those grants. And so, yes, it is a major investment for every parish in our diocese with a school and who sends to Catholic students, sponsors students in Catholic high schools here in our diocese. Now that box, you see the box for the building fund. That's important to know. Many don't realize what the building fund is. Many years ago, and some of you in the chairs right now know this, you've walked the path through all of this. Many years ago, this parish did not sit on this ground. And there was the dream of 3 phases, a 3-phase dream. One was to build a temporary church first in this new location. That was in 2005. We did that. Second was to build the new school. That was 2012. We've done that as well. The third of the 3-point dream and vision is the final church. The building fund, that when you see that, money going into the building fund is for the final church. That money is sitting in a separate savings account. It's earmarked. That money cannot be used for maintenance, wages, utilities, anything else. It's specifically earmarked for the final church. Now, keep in mind, when you look at that, you see the building fund income. This last fiscal year was $452,000, again, towards the final church. You see an expense in that. Well, what's the expense? We actually tithe on that gift or any gift made to the building fund for the final church. Now, in years gone by, when we were struggling greatly financially to pay off the loan for the school, the diocese graced us by not having to tithe on money on the loan. But that's not the norm. The norm is, again, because we're a stewardship diocese, that any money coming in, even for capital campaign projects, there's still the 10% going to the diocese. In my last assignment, we did a capital campaign. We weren't building anything new. We were fixing a church that was in dire need of repair, and we still gave 10% to the diocese. Because as a stewardship diocese, that's how we make things happen. So when you look at the building fund, you see that, yes, money is coming in for the final church. What I would ask you to prayerfully consider is this. You should know that we are not actively in a process of preparing for the final church. We are not actively in a capital campaign for the final church. And so, yes, we are still having the building fund. We are still accepting monies for the final church. But I ask that you prayerfully consider maybe directing those for our operating expenses. Because in the end, this past year was, again, $202,000 in the hole, a short. We can't have a trend of being at a loss every fiscal year. We have to continue to make sure we're providing for our current needs as well. So I just ask that you prayerfully consider that in this year ahead. If you flip the side of your sheet over, you see some demographics of our parish. You see that we have a registered, just 1,100, roughly 1,100 registered families. That's 3,000 registered individuals. And if you look at that bar graph, what do you see? The largest group of our parish is from 0, that is a newborn infant, to 17 years of age. That's phenomenal. If you want the exact number, it's 846 individuals. The median age is 37.5 years. That's amazing how young this parish is. What does it mean? Yeah, we're a little loud and we're a little rowdy. That's what it means. And that's a good thing. I can't tell you how many people talk to me and say, you know what, this parish is alive. The last parish I was at, we were the youngest people, and we were in our 30s. We don't realize how good we have it here. It's amazing. 6 marriages this last year, 42 baptisms, 29 funerals. We have so many ministries. We wanted to kind of showcase it. We can't even showcase it on this handout. Over 25 ministries happening right here in our parish. It's so life-giving as a pastor to see this. It's amazing to see this. It's edifying for me, stepping in as your new pastor over a year's time now. Look at our education highlights. This, on the left there, that's a 3-year average for in the school, or a Catholic school. 36 in pre-K, which we always cap that out, 2 classes of 18. Our current enrollment this year is 308 students. We just fluctuates very little, so we put a 3-year average of 309 students per year. But the cost per student at St. Mary's is $8,500 per student from kindergarten through 8th grade. Preschool brings in tuition, so we don't count that. $8,500 per student in kindergarten through 8th grade. We look at our Catholic high school students that we are sponsoring here at St. Mary's. We are sponsoring 55 this year. The average is 55 in the last 3 years, but we are technically 55 students this year. The cost per student, $7,044 per student. This is doable, but we all have a part to play. 16 in RCIA. Last year we had 5 or 6. We've got an amazing group of people seeking, discerning, learning about the faith, and maybe possibly joining the church at Easter. 80 students in confirmation, and 60 students in our parish school of religion, which is kindergarten through 5th grade, as well as sacramental prep for those who have not yet received their first confession or first Holy Communion. So my brothers and sisters, what a beautiful picture this is here at St. Mary's. You know, I can't tell you how life-giving it is that what we have going on right here in our parish. But we all have a part to play. And so I just invite you, I wanted to share this, the Finance Council and I wanted to share this with you so you can see where we're at. It's important for you to know where we're at as a parish so that we can pray for each other, support each other, and continue to build each other up here at St. Mary's.